I'm proud of the Pittsburgh Steelers organization. I'm extremely grateful that we have the most Super Bowls, tied with the New England Patriots, with 6. Some franchises have 0. I'm fortunate that we have 6, and guess what? I was alive for 3 of them. That's a good thing. Now, in fairness, 2 of them I remember. Okay, the last 2 of the Ben Roethlisberger, Bill Cowher era. See this jersey? Jerome Bettis, he got a Super Bowl, I think, in his final season when we defeated the Seattle Seahawks. Now, I may be wrong if that was the year he retired, but I thought that was the year that they won the Super Bowl when Jerome Bettis laid down his cleats, okay? And the crazy thing about that game, the AFC Championship game, is that Jerome Bettis fumbled the ball when they were in scoring range. I believe they were in the red zone. I don't remember exactly because this was about maybe 20 years ago or something. And I don't remember who they played. Was it the Colts? I don't remember who they played. That name will appear here. But the person that picked up the fumble was running it back to end the game on a touchdown, and Ben Roethlisberger made the tackle that stopped them from scoring. And that helped secure victory. And the Steelers were going to the Super Bowl and to win against the Seattle Seahawks. Awesome stuff. I was so proud the next day. Now, I was a substitute teacher at the time. That before the classes came in, I wrote on the board the score. Pittsburgh, Seattle. I was proud of my Steelers. Did I wear the jersey there? I don't remember. And then, of course, our next appearance in the Super Bowl, we had a spectacular game. We had a shootout with the Arizona Cardinals, Kurt Warner, Larry Fitzgerald, the great Larry Fitzgerald, and the great Kurt Warner. And the MVP of that game was Santonio Holmes. Santonio Holmes and Ben Roethlisberger were looking like Jerry Rice and Joe Montana out there. I mean, Ben Roethlisberger, Big Ben, was composed. We were down. The Steelers were down. And he made a terrific drive. It might have been a 2-minute drill. I do not remember all the details. I apologize. But Santonio Holmes made one of the great performances in the Super Bowl as a wide receiver. So I'm proud to be a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. Having said that, okay? Now, I'm not saying but, because I'm not going to contradict everything that I just said. Because that's usually what but means in a sentence, B-U-T. Having said that, I am not proud of the moves that the Pittsburgh Steelers have made. Now, I was a doubter about signing on Aaron Rodgers. But why? Because Aaron Rodgers is an older veteran quarterback. He's still got a gun. He's still got a cannon. That's slang for a throwing arm, in case you were living under a rock for the last 20 years. But I was doubtful, and I was wrong about Aaron Rodgers because Aaron Rodgers has made this his team. Aaron Rodgers is now the face of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I'm shocked having said that. And I don't mind being wrong. I'm glad I'm wrong. We are currently standing at 4-2. The reason for this video is not because of the performance of Aaron Rodgers in the last game. Aaron, you're off the hook. Jaylen Warren, you're off the hook. You did a spectacular job. I'm coming at you, the defensive coordinator of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Why were you stranding Jalen Ramsey and Darius Slay in one-on-one coverage of Jamar Chase, who's arguably the wide receiver of the NFL this season? What kind of a freaking defense were you calling? I blame you. Now, in fairness, Aaron Rodgers threw 2 interceptions. Now, one interception wasn't really his fault, but it was spectacular defense by the Cincinnati Bengals of all teams. The Cincinnati Bengals turned into a totally different organization. They turned into a totally different team on Thursday night. Joe Flacco was looking like Baltimore Ravens Super Bowl winning Joe Flacco. And I said, as soon as the Cleveland Browns got Joe Flacco, I was like, no, why? I mean, that's bad news for Pittsburgh, Joe Flacco, because Joe Flacco knows how to play the Steelers. Last year, when he was with the 2 seasons before, when he was with the Indianapolis Colts, he beat us with the Colts. He defeated the Steelers. Might have been last year, I don't remember. So I hate seeing Joe Flacco because he knows how to play us. But all of a sudden, the Cincinnati Bengals offensive line is reinvigorated, and they were actually blocking. They were actually protecting the quarterback. TJ Watt had one pressure by the time the fourth quarter came along. And the one sack that he got, that I remember, it was a shared sack between him and Hayward. So the Cincinnati Bengals have gotten a dose. They've gotten a boost. I guess the Cincinnati Bengals didn't appreciate Joe Burrow too much. I will say this though. Joe Flacco, he don't linger in that pocket. He is not out there playing chess, trying to decide what the next move is going to be. He can hype that ball, whack, ball's going. Perhaps he can be a mentor to Joe Burrow. All right. Now, I don't want that. I'm sorry, not Joe Burrow. On the Cleveland Browns. Maybe he can. No, I'm sorry. I'm mixing my CB teams up. Cincinnati Bengals and Cleveland Browns. I apologize. All right. Either way, they're ops. Okay. He was with the Cleveland Browns, and he was traded within the division to the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, listen to how retarded. Yes, I know that's not a word that's smiled upon on the YouTube community, but guess what? That was retarded. If you're the Cleveland Browns, why would you trade the most vital piece that the Cincinnati Bengals needed with Joe Burrow going down and Jake Browning, two JB names? Joe Burrow going down, Jake Browning sucking horribly, and give them Joe Flacco. Why would you give them a Super Bowl quarterback that can start potentially in most of the teams of the NFL? Why would you give them a vital piece of success for this season? Why? And Mike Tomlin even called out that move. He's like, really? Why would you do that? Why would you give your rival, your division rival, exactly what they needed? Now, is Mike Tomlin suggesting that there's some collusion between the Cleveland Browns and the Cincinnati Bengals? Am I suggesting there's collusion? I don't know, but I do know it was a god-awful decision. And you know what I hope? I hope that the next time the Cincinnati Bengals play the Cleveland Browns, that they stomp out the Browns for this stupidity. Now let's get back on the real reason that this video was made, which was the defensive play calling of the Pittsburgh Steelers. It was atrocious. We could not get to the quarterback that whole game. I was shocked. I was like, what Cincinnati team came to play today? I was like, all this one-on-one coverage of Jamar Chase, one-on-one coverage of T. Higgins on the other side. They are making mincemeat of Darius Slay and Jalen Ramsey. Those two D-backs look like they should have been in a nursing home. I was in my emotions watching the game. I was like, get rid of those two dinosaurs, Ramsey and Slay. But that was just impulsive, heat of the actions, sort of ranting. And I even said, get rid of the DC, just to go around and get rid of the OC, get rid of the HC. But that was heat of the moment, okay? Now that my emotions have gone down, let's work on the defensive play calling, because it was absolutely abysmal. And the fact that we came off a bye and we performed to that level defensively is atrocious. Atrocious. And they showed a stat. They had Mike Tomlin on the screen. It said that he is 2-9 in Thursday football games on the road. 2-9. So now, after this loss to the Cincinnati Bengals, he's 2-10. So he wins 20%. 2 out of 10. He wins 20% of his games on Thursday. We got a problem, Pittsburgh. Instead of Houston, Pittsburgh, we have a problem. Tighten up that defense. Mike Tomlin, this falls on you too, sir. Because if you saw the garbage play calling, the garbage defensive sets, why didn't you take over? Remember the Titans? When, I forgot the character's name. Herman Boone, right? When Coach Boone walked past Coach Yost, he's like, tighten up that defense, Yost, or I'm taking over. And he's like, just worry about your offense. Mike Tomlin should have taken over the defensive play calling. When he saw Jamar Chase looking like the reincarnation of Jerry Rice, he should have stepped in. Now, offensively, I think we did a great job. Pat Fryermuth looked like Rob Gronkowski out there. But on the other side of the ball, so did Io Vaso, or whatever his name is. I think his last name was had like 4 vowels in it in one consonant. I'm just messing. But he looked great out there, that tight end. But again, one-on-one coverage on the tight end. One-on-one coverage on T. Higgins. Multiple one-on-one coverage of Jamar Chase. Why? Why in God's name were we doing this? And if you know Joe Flacco can get the ball out quickly, why are we stranding the D-backs? I'm almost at a loss for words, but I'm not going to revert to that emotional state on Thursday night. Pittsburgh, get your stuff together. Get it together quickly. Now, having said all that, it's always go Steelers. Always. I'm always rocking this jersey. This is my football team. But I'm going to tell you, DC, get it together. HC, get it together. All right? Do better.